I hope you like this elegant ass background. Because I was going to honestly go to my room and film in my studio, but I think it'd be fun for this podcast if I just did a different place every time, because I think recording in the same place all the time, or doing the same thing, it can get a little bit boring. So I think it's a lot more fun and entertaining if I just do a different place every time. Also, it's fun to just record out of what I usually do or sit in a different place. I think that's awesome, and I think we should all do something like that. But today I kind of want to talk about something that not very controversial, but to kind of lighten the mood, because I think recently, especially with my content, or just honestly the news in general, there's been a lot of bad news lately. Especially some guy died. Not gonna bring that up. With the whole thing with the election. That was more earlier this year, obviously, but it's been all bad news, and I think it's great. I mean, not all bad news. There has been some good news, but I think it'd be good if I just kind of lighten the mood with a little bit something of a lighter topic, but also something that's kind of annoying me. So it's light, but also this is really annoying. So memes, yeah, they fucking raised us, man. Especially in 2017. I want to preface this by saying I was born in 2010. I am 15. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm 25 looking back on the 2000s, because I'm fucking not. I wasn't alive. But I'm talking about 2017. I was 7. Okay, I was 7, 6, 7. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, 2018 I was 8. Any number following that, I was that age. If that makes sense. So in 2017, especially 2018, 2019, I was feeding off of memes on the internet. I was and keep in mind, that's pretty young, obviously very young. But I matured pretty quick as a kid, the moment I turned 7 and got the internet, I matured pretty fast. I already knew so much about life and just kind of what I enjoy, and I knew a lot about myself at that age. I was obviously still very young and figuring a lot of it out. I still am to this day, but I knew more than the average kid did when I was 7 or 8. I knew more, at least about myself. I wasn't smart, but I knew more about myself than most kids did, just because I think a lot. And I also had the internet at a very, very early age, so I knew a lot about myself and what I enjoyed. I joined the furry community when I was 10, by the way. I think I found the furry community. I don't remember how. I think it was because of Vivzy Pop's Die Young music video. I don't support Vivzy Pop. I do want to preface that. I just really like the stuff that she makes, separate art from the artist, guys. Important. I think we can all learn a lot from the value that art brings, even if it's from probably person, because they are not their art, they are the person. So obviously I think it's you shouldn't buy their art or something, you shouldn't go and commission them because oh, I just like their art, because then you're just giving them money. But if you're just listening to a song on their Spotify that gives them 2 cents, it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, back to the kind of original topic. I kind of was as I was saying, I was honestly my entire personality was just memes. This sounds whack, but I unironically really enjoyed, I really thought Nyan Cat was funny. I thought the oof meme was, I thought the oof meme in particular was funny with the noob head, the oof just sound. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, especially when I was 7. I really, I remember when I first got into making games and all that, I made a game literally called Oof, but I wanted it to be a serious kind of thing where it was just an exploring game. It wasn't anything in particular. Keep in mind I was 7 or 8. I made these games where I just inserted a ton of shit from if you don't know what this is, by the way, just look it up. But there's or actually I'll explain with the toolbox. But the toolbox in Roblox Studio is a feature that's automatically built in that you can like just insert files from that like people have pre-made with like preferably credit, but you don't have to, I don't think. Usually I credit the people because I use Roblox Studio to make my game. If you don't know, I actually am working on a game right now called Starflesh, and it's on Roblox, available on PC only. You can find the link in my community tab. Sorry, I'm completely advertised. I'm a walking advertisement. I'm holding a fucking, this is not sponsored. This is not sponsored, okay? God forbid a man likes coffee. Anyways, what was I saying? But Toolbox, you can like insert like shit that people have already made into your game, and what that could be like maps, that could be like models, that could be scripts, to like that could be like audios, that could be literally anything. It could be a lot, like there's decals on there. I found shit on there that I probably couldn't even find on my school Chromebook. So like be careful if you ever go on there, by the way. Like there are so many ways to like bypass the filters they have on like what the shit you can upload to Roblox. Like for example, this is a way lighter example, but people who will upload like other like artists' songs that are copyrighted, like I found Headlock on there, and they just, what they do is they just like name it like a random sound effect and then put like Imogen Heap in the bio, and then they'll just speed up the audio really fast. So you can, and they'll put like the speed you're supposed to put it at. They'll just put 0.25 or something, and it won't make sense if you see it, but if you search up Headlock, it'll be up there. So I'm not calling anyone out, I'm just saying. But Roblox also like tends to like ban like a lot of things really quick, so it's not gonna be on there for that long. But anyways, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Roblox Studio, I made this series called like Oof or something, and I had 2 seasons. The first one, I don't remember where the first one went, because I think it crashed because I uploaded it to Roblox and it just wasn't uploading, so I just closed off my computer and I made a second season the next like week or something, and it was called Oof, Dis Season is Cool. Just to preface that, I said dis and I said like dat and I said what with no H. And this is kind of said to like preface that we had brain rot in the 2010. I'm saying that like it wasn't that long ago. 2017, 2011 to 2010s were not that long ago. I just want to preface that it really was not that long ago. I want to sit here and act like it's like a piece of like ancient ass history, because it was like fucking like, it feels like it was a while ago because things have changed so much, but it really was not that long ago. I have like some in my throat, sorry. But I kind of want to say that to preface that we had like brain rot. Like that was like our brain rot. Like brain rot back then was like, or at least mine, like was like Oof, Naya and Kat. You know, like those like unboxing videos where they unbox like Elsa and Spider-Man. Those were like, I watched those all the time. That was low-key brain rot. But we didn't, that's what I was saying, is that we've had brainless content for forever. Like ever since memes have been a thing, we've had brainless content. Actually, not really. I feel like memes used to make more sense. Like they used to have like the impact font, bottom text, I don't know, but it used to make a little bit more sense. But now it's just like when you do the laundry, when I do the laundry, tung tung sahur, which I'll agree that sometimes brainless content is funny. I'm not saying sitting here and act like shark with blue shoes or tung tung sahur is funny. That's what I'm saying. I think Naya and Kat's cool. I think it's funny. I think it brings people together. It doesn't have to make sense to be cool. But here's the problem and kind of the divide, or at least what I think is like kind of like a divide between 2010s memes and media and brain rot content and 2020s kind of stuff. Not so much 2020 or 2021, but 2025 specifically, in 2024, mostly 2025, but it's not really like for one, a lot of it is AI. I do want to say that, like, especially like what you think of as like generic brain rot, like tung tung sahur, ballerina cappuccina, stuff like that, you know, is very prevalent right now. And I think it's especially scary because like kids are really enjoying it. And like I have a cousin, she's like 9, by the way, she like unironically really likes brain rot. Like it's not even like in a satire way. She unironically loves brain rot. And it's kind of concerning me because she asked me, I was like making food for like her because I was babysitting them, and she was like, what's your favorite brain rot? And I was just like, I don't know. And they have a fridge and it has like a screen on it. It's kind of cool, I guess, but she was playing brain rot videos on the fridge for their baby, like their baby that was like 1 at the time. And I think that was kind of like my wake up call to like, hey, this is real, by the way. And people like, I don't want to sit here and act like it's a big deal because it's just fucking brain rot. Like, it's just fucking like content. But at the same time, I think we're losing a lot when it comes to AI generated memes. Specifically AI. I do want to single out, because I think it's okay if, I think like there is like brainless memes right now that aren't AI, and I don't think that they're the biggest deal because at least they're still memes. I don't think it's the biggest deal, but specifically, I feel like I talk about AI all the time, but the AI generated ones, or the ones that just aren't made by people, are kind of the most like unfunny, and like it's not even really memes. I think because they're intended to be funny. I feel like I'm saying nothing right now, but I swear it makes sense in my head. They're intended to be funny, but it appeals to a younger audience, and they kind of see it as like I don't know, a special interest. They kind of see it as like an interest of theirs rather than like a meme or something that makes them laugh. Like you'll see these like, it's kind of like in 2010 when we had those, like, as I said before, like those unboxing pregnant Elsa, Spider-Man is like gay or some shit. I think I don't think those were intended to be funny, but on the other hand, those brain rot memes I think were made to be satire and kind of funny, but kids take them seriously and see them as like something they're interested, like genuinely interested in, which I think is a big problem because your kid's main interest and like love for life should not be like AI. I think that's obvious. That's pretty obvious, but a lot of parents just think that like it shuts their kid up. So like, let's use it, And it brings me back to the problem, brings all of us back to the problem with these like iPad babies and how so many parents like give their kid an iPad and be like, shut up right now, okay? I'm gonna go do my laundry. You just watch that Tung Tung Sahur on that tablet. That's great, sweetie. That's kind of what they do. And I've seen it in my own family. Once again, like even if you just go out to a restaurant, I bet like you could go to your local McDonald's right now and find an iPad kid. Like, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wasn't on the internet as a kid, because I 100% was. Like, I was role-playing with strangers at the age of 7. Like, I was no less online than these babies were. But it's the fact that they're online at such a young age. I think 7 is already pretty young, but if you're, like, your brain is, like, developing at both ages, yes. But when you're, like, a baby, your brain is, like, still figuring out basic functions. And so if you're teaching your kid that the most important function that they have is using an iPad, I think there's obviously a problem, and two, your kid's not gonna know how to interact with other kids socially. Like, even though I was on the internet a lot at like the age of 7, I still learned how to properly like interact with others socially, or I guess like as best as like a neurodivergent kid should. I still learned like basic human functions and like how to pick up after myself and stuff. But these kids now, like, I've seen it plenty of times on like all over like social media of kids who just don't even know how to like brush their teeth and like get dressed, and a lot of it could be, and I'm not referring to babies because they're babies, but I'm talking about like toddlers and like kids who just don't know how to get dressed or brush their teeth or like brush their hair. You could argue that it could be kids that are like disabled or like have a mental disorder. I'm not talking about that because I still struggle with those things daily. I'm not talking about those kids. I'm talking about neurotypical kids who are raised on the iPad and don't know human like functions because of it. And you'll see it like everywhere now. Like, people just don't look, I think. And I know it sounds like I'm saying a lot of nothing burger, but it'll make sense in a minute. I think parents are like finding a short-term solution are finding a long-term solution, not long-term, they're finding short-term something. They're finding a short-term solution to a short-term problem that will create another problem throughout their entire life. So they're giving them something that will fix it in the moment, yeah, but it will like detrimentally affect their functioning later in life. And a lot of parents just don't realize this. I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that every other parent's doing it and that's just what works for them, you know? And I get it, you know, being a parent is hard, but I think like if you really care about your kid enough and you think enough about it, you will understand that they need more than just an iPad to keep themselves stimulated, or a replacement of an iPad. They will need, like, you can give them a coloring book, you can give them a book, you can let them go outside. Like, when I was younger, I am so eternally grateful that at least from ages like 1 to fucking like 6, I was allowed to like go outside and like color and engage in creative stuff, you know? It's the reason that I am the way I am now, and I dedicate my life to art. But a lot of kids aren't able to explore those interests, or to explore things that they like, or to learn basic human functions. And I also do want to point out that a lot of the reason that these kids don't, like, some of these kids that are being raised on iPads don't know basic human functions is because their parents like don't teach them, you know? And that's a problem I see literally so often with parents. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm like a psychologist or like someone who like studies like children or like development, because I fucking don't. Like, I don't know shit about this. Once again, I never even had a good childhood. But I think it's easy to assume that if your kid isn't learning basic functions by the age of like 5, there's a problem, you know? I am not a parent, and I probably never will be. I don't have any experience with parenting, but I do know that 5, you should know to at least like brush your teeth at 5, you know? Like, sorry, I think it's pretty safe to assume that that's normal. And so not only do I have like eternal empathy for these people or these kids who just aren't taught these things and then are like ridiculed for it, you know? I've dealt with that myself, and I think it's a real problem. But once again, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about, because these like brain rot videos, like, I know like it sounds crazy, but brain rot is literally brain rot. Like, it's you're consuming mindless content that was made with a fucking prompt, you know? Like, I think it's unfair to artists who are putting in like effort to create like kids content or just to create stuff, but 2, not only is it dismissive and just generally offensive to artists, it's dismissive and offensive to the kids' development, you know? Like, you're not letting them learn functions on their own, you know, or go meet friends. You know, a lot of these kids turn out very lonely and isolated because like their parents just keep them in their room like on the iPad all day, you know? Also, it's like a fucking social disturbance. Like, I just want to put that in there. I know this sounds really weird because this is not the kids' fault. I want to preface that. I always think it's really stupid when people hate on the iPad kids and are rude to the children, when in reality it's just the parent who is feeding their kid this content and is making it so that they depend on the iPad as their only source of entertainment or creativity, when there's no creativity in there at all. But you know what I mean? Like, their only source of like stimulation is the iPad, and the parents make them feel that way, and it's not the kid's fault. So I do want to preface that, but it's also just a social disturbance, parents' fault. Like, how some children will be in public with their iPad at full volume, and it's like, shut the fuck up, I'm gonna fucking Timmy, no. But it's like a real problem because other kids will see that too and be like, I want an iPad now, mommy, for Christmas. And if they're the right mom, they'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll get you one, and then it's like an infection, low-key. It's like fucking iPad kid infection. That should be a Roblox game. iPad kid infection. I'd play that. That would actually kind of go hard. No, it wouldn't. What the fuck am I talking about? Sorry, okay. But I just think I know this, like, it sounds kind of off the rails of, like, needing new memes, but actually, I feel like it's pretty on topic. But it kind of all just ties back into the fact that the memes that we have, especially in 2025 and 2024, are very brainless and very, like, lifeless. You know, like, yeah, Nyan Cat was, like, kind of stupid, but, like, at least it had, like, at least it was made by, like, a real artist, and, like, it was, like, made with, like, creativity and thought. And also, fuck it, Nyan Cat is cute. Like, who would not want to watch a Nyan Cat, a cat with a Pop-Tart torso that flies on rainbows? Like, that's awesome, low-key. And I think that even if something is, like, the idea is stupid, at least it's made with human thought and emotion. And I think that right now is, like, one of the biggest times to value that, you know, to value, like, human art and emotion, especially with the rise of AI and, like, just not even just AI, but just mindless content that doesn't have any purpose than to just be a filler video, you know? And once again, I can't be talking about fucking filler videos because half the shit I post is just fucking filler animations, but at least they're made with creativity and thought and, like, care, you know? Like, and I'm a firm believer that not all content on the internet has to, like, have a lot of meaning, because shitposts are awesome. I love shitpost accounts. But it gets to a point, you know, like, it gets to a point where it becomes someone's genuine interest and they grow up pretty much, like, completely, like, based around that. And yeah, I just think it's like, I just think that a lot of people don't really care about the way their kid is raised, and, like, think that, oh, well, it keeps them quiet, you know? But I think it's a lot more important for your kid's development to not just focus on, like, your kid's development, not just focus on your kid's development or, like, what they're, okay, let me restart that, what the hell. I think it's important as a parent to not just focus on what keeps your kid busy or what keeps them happy, but also to focus on what helps develop your kid, what your kid specifically is interested in. And maybe it might be something generic, even if it's like a Barbie or like a monster truck, or your kid just kind of likes Paw Patrol. You know, if your kid likes it and it's harmless and has life, go for it. Let your kid enjoy it. Don't just give your kid what's popular on the internet, you know, just throw something on, you know? I think that's why I always think it's great is when, like, I see parents letting their kids choose what they want to watch, like, on the TV, or, like, letting them play a song in the car, because I think it's all these little things that make your kid realize who they are, you know, like, even, like, later in life, or it helps them know what they like. And I think that having specific interests is so, like, essential and, like, good for, like, a child. Like, I've found that, like, in my hardest times in life, the things that get me through are, like, the specific things that I like, the unique things that I enjoy. Or even if they're not unique, you know, just the things that I like and the things that make me me are what kind of kept me going. Knowing that I'm my own person and that I'm an individual, you know. But these kids, they're not having that. They're just having the fact that they kind of like brain rot, or it keeps them stimulated, you know. These people or these kids are like, kids are people, sorry, I'm people. I say people like it's like I'm making a cancellation video on, like, Little Billy. Anyways, Little Billy's a monster. Sorry, I'll shut up. These kids are being raised on lifeless content, and it kind of shapes their worldview. You know, they kind of don't think life is a big deal, or they don't take things seriously, or all they can think of to say is, like, brain rot terms, you know. It doesn't sound like it's that serious, but it is, you know. Like, kids are quite literally having their worldview shaped on the content they're seeing, because, believe it or not, what you surround yourself with is what you become. And I think that parents kind of fail to realize that. So I kind of just want, like, you to leave this video understanding, with a sense of understanding of these children, and that it's not their fault, and that it's not, I think hating on them is just going to make them feel embarrassed and hated later in life for something that wasn't their fault. As a kid, you can't control whether your mom is giving you an iPad, or you don't know what's wrong and what's right. You just know that, oh, this makes my brain go haha good, so I'm just gonna use it. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and act like kids are dumb, because they're not. But they don't understand what, like, is right and wrong, and they don't understand that it's gonna affect them later in life. So I think that if there's anything you could take from this like fucking nothing burger of a podcast, just like if you have a local iPad kid, try taking, like, obviously, like, if it's not your kid, don't do that, but like if it's like your little cousin or something, or like your sister, try taking them out, like, to go do something, like take them to the park, you know, without, don't bring the tablet. You'll find something that works for me is like taking my little cousin and being like, no iPad, if you go an hour without your iPad, I'll get you ice cream. That works fine, you know, like say something like that, offer rewards so that they associate not having the iPad with something good. I'm not saying, like, I feel like I sound like I'm talking about a dog, but you know what I mean, like help them enjoy like being outside and making friends and, you know, playing with animals, you know, like, or just being around their family. You know, I think it's a really great thing that we have all these like natural materials on the earth to just help develop us, but a lot of parents unfortunately throw that away for something that, one, will run up your electricity bill, but two, will ruin your kid's future development for the foreseeable future. So, and there's, once again, if there's anything you take from this, just try to be understanding and understand that it's not the kid's fault. So, yeah, I love you guys, and thank you for listening to me yap for 20 minutes. I don't know, I had to stop my recording halfway through, but I love you guys, and stay hashtag Velcosa coded. Bye!